Today, we're going to be looking at a scenario where, Sweden and Finland join NATO. Now, it's becoming increasingly more and more likely since, this over here. But this is what I probably think would happen if they were to join NATO. And let's just pull up the NATO countries real quick. Yeah, so that is all of the NATO countries. And we have, three of them. Only three of them that border Russia directly. Except for Poland and Lithuania, but those don't really count. And Russia has warned Finland and Sweden to not join NATO or else there'll be consequences. But let's just say they join anyway, just for the sake of for this video. They have now joined a NATO under a 70% vote of the citizens. And of course Russia wouldn't attack them. Maybe they would. Speaking of attacking, let's just go in through another World War III. Let's just go for that. So again, Russia does declare war. Oh no, they aren't the defender. No, they aren't. Russia declares war. Well, there's that as well, which causes Belarus, all of that. Alright, so look at this, and then let's just pull up the current thing with Ukraine real quick. This is being recorded on the 15th. Now, this is roughly the thing they have with Ukraine. Roughly. I'm not going to say it's perfect, but, Let's just say, for the example, it's like this. So now with Russia having to mobilize stuff fully, we have a push in of Russia into the Baltics. But the NATO troops are already in here, so they are slowed. And then Belarusian troops push into Ukraine and a bit of Poland from there. But they don't get far into Poland, they only get a bit far into Ukraine again. Ukraine is, they also declare war on Georgia to get around, their defenses and all of that. So yeah, we see the complete collapsation of Georgia fairly quickly, which they push into Turkey or Turkey, whatever, but they are slowed. They jolt across, connecting with Kaliningrad. They try to make a push Finland, but it does not really go well. And now since they declared war on Finland and NATO, we have the American troops rushing in from everywhere. But before that, we have Estonia being starved and taken. We have Latvia being taken. And then Lithuania is on the verge of being collapsed. Ukraine is starting to fall, but morale is still up considering how NATO's in the war and they're helping. But their morale isn't that up considering that their coast is being taken all the way. That does not look nice. A major sweep takes Kiev, but with major resistance, which means that they can push up back and eventually cut back here, which forces some troops to, retreat back to the borders. But eventually they push in from here anyway. So we see a bunch of stuff hanging in from here. We see a landing in Turkey made from Crimea, and landing in Bulgaria. And a landing, or not really a landing, but pushing down Romania's coast, taking all of it. Now, of course, Azerbaijan, and then Armenia join. Oh. Armenia is smart about this and doesn't join, though. They would, but they're not. Which, now that they're not having an expected thing, They turn back around. They capture some of some other. They capture most of some of this, but they stop themselves at the Georgian and Russian border, and this forces some of them to retreat back from Georgia, and eventually stop at a thing right there. A push into Azerbaijan and taking the capital is made, eventually leading to the collapse of the country. But of course, they cannot capture the exclave, which they all retreat to. Never mind, it got captured because they surrendered. Now we see more troops join in this. We see Swedish and Nordic troops push in, taking that because Finland is not something to be messed with. We see pushback here. We see that most of Ukraine is being. They make a plan to cut off this. They eventually cut it off. They cut off this, squeeze out, and then squeeze that out. Turkey squeezes this out while making a landing in Crimea. The landing is kind of successful, but they can't really hold it for long as they're already there. And now we see the first major pushback, which is the Finns pushing into Russia, into northern Russia, eventually cutting off all of this because it's majorly undefended. So I'm just gonna say they claim all of this. They're not actually like taking it. They're not actually going through, but they're pretending to. They're pretending they're claiming all of this. I'm pretending they are. But we are gonna have a battle of St. Petersburg, which for the sake of this video, St. Petersburg will be right there. That's for the sake of this video. That's where it is gonna be. Actually, let me put it like right there. We see more troops pushing in to Russia. St. Petersburg right here. The Battle of St. Petersburg is coming. And then the Battle of St. Petersburg takes place right there. They're right outside of the border of St. Petersburg, which causes Russia to have a massive retreat of troops. So we see a major pushback of troops all over. We see a pushback from Turkey and Azerbaijan, reestablishing both countries, reestablishing Georgia and all of that. We have them retreating all away from Belarus, them having Lithuania, and then most of Latvia, and some of Estonia. Not all of it. But they do manage to keep some of this. But while they're traveling over here, we do see the Caucasus region being pushed. Then we see their major play, which is trying to cut off Russia from the Black Sea, which is basically their main port. Naval landing from Turkey establishes most of this, and eventually pushes back the troops. And this is completely fine. Completely fine. Oh, that's not fine? Belarus is being murdered, and Minsk is taken? Oh. That don't look good. But while that happens, we do see the major play come in. All of Russia's already Black Sea is taken, while Ukraine is being liberated. All of Ukraine is liberated after a few months. Eventually a push into Russia is started. And yeah, this does not look very good for Russia. but their primary ally comes in. It's called the Winter, if you didn't know. So they push back all of Belarus. They push back most of the Ukraine part. Jesus Christ. They do make a push into here, which I said this isn't actually being taken, but they push back most of St. Petersburg stuff. So yeah. Yeah, now Russia's being clapped again after its summer. Now beginning of spring. Now we see the complete collapse of Russia. After all of this, they eventually capture Kaliningrad. Minsk is taken once again, and Belarus starts to fall. We see the complete cutoff from St. Petersburg from the rest of Russia. We also see most of this being cut off as well. Then we see St. Petersburg fall. So yeah, seeing this, Russia basically has no point in fighting, have their major city being taken, but Putin decides to keep going anyway. Because Putin's a dummy. And again, for the sake of this video, let's just say Moscow is right here. Let's say Moscow is right there. So now we have troops pushing in. This is happening like every week or so. But we do see more pushing in here. We do see major stuff come into play here. We see the push more over here. Eventually this is cut off, and then this is cut off, and then this is more stabilized. Eventually this part's wiped out, and this part's wiped out. Spearhead to Russia, spearhead to Moscow. Eventually Putin is assassinated, and then Moscow is taken, which causes the fall of Russia, which, we've seen this before, we've seen this all before. So they push in, around here, and then the surrender. We've seen this all before, and let's get to the peace treaty. So looking at the final peace treaty, or the only peace treaty of this video technically, we see pretty much different Europe. We see Ukraine getting Crimea back, plus a lot of land from Russia, although their overall shape looks pretty much the same. We see Poland getting some land out of Belarus, Lithuania getting land out of Russia, Russia's Kaliningrad, so does Poland. And they get some of Belarus, Latvia, and Estonia get some out of Russia. Finland becomes big boy. We have Georgia taking land, Azerbaijan getting land, Belarus gets a new government, and Russia obviously gets a new government since Putin was assassinated, you know. And it's not really worth noting, but you know, we have reverse Alaska being made. So I don't know how China would feel about this, but hey, this video is already 14 minutes long. We might as well just end it here. Goodbye.